What's going on, guys? Shonen Express here, delivering to you the whole package of Bleach. Recently, there has been one manga in particular that I think the manga community at large has severely neglected. For this month's whole package, I want to go over what was once considered one of the big three manga in Shonen Jump, namely Bleach. Many people have various opinions about this manga, but after having recently reread this manga, I feel qualified to give a full series review and share my thoughts on one of the best-selling manga of my childhood. To start off, I want to say that one of the things that Tite Kubo, as an author, does amazingly well is create interesting character designs. Ones that stick with us far past the moments that we read this manga. This is most certainly true for Bleach. Just look at some of these characters and you'll see what I mean. Specifically, Kubo is great at specifically making character designs that tell us something about the characters themselves. To illustrate this, let's look at some of the individual character designs. This is Byakuya Kuchiki, captain of the 6th Division. You can tell just by his character design a couple things, but mainly, his face and relative demeanor look stern, meaning he's probably a solemn kind of person. And when you look at him in comparison to the other captains, you notice that he wears gloves and has unique hairpins that look distinctly noble. All this put together seemed to suggest that this character is some solemn man of high standing, which would be absolutely accurate. And we can see all of this without him saying a single word. The same could be said for Kenpachi Zaraki, who exudes bloodlust in his very character design. The character designs are not always spot on like this, but when they seem to be off, there is always a reason. Shuhei Hisagi is a great example of the character design that conveys the wrong ideas about his character. From his design, you may think he's a rough, fight-loving person, but in reality, he strives for peace. He exudes violence in his design because he is gifted in combat, and a tattoo on his face is to honor someone who saved his life. All of these clues are meant to intentionally point you to the backstory of this character. In that way, I think Kubo is an amazing character designer. However, amazing characterization in Bleach does not stop there. Each of these characters, on a personal level, is extremely interesting. I could obviously talk about the main villain for most of the series, as most people find him to be interesting, but I would rather focus on other characters, ones less known. First off, let's look at the amazing characterization scene through Sajin Komomura. This man was ashamed of his appearance and found friendship only in a man who was blind, only to then be responsible for taking down that friend for the good of the world. It would be one thing if his story stops here, but it continues on, and we see it is not that duty is always more important to Sajin than his friends, but the reason he saw his friend in error was because of the loyalty that he showed to Yamamoto. Gin Ichimaru is another character that is genius writing. He is someone who is perceived as pure evil by those around him purely due to his appearance and the aura that he gives off, and honestly does not know himself what allegiance to follow, but through his connections with other characters, takes it upon himself to stop evil, even though he himself does not have a pressing need to do so. All of this considered, I think Kubo does an excellent job, both creating interesting designs and interesting characters to go in his stories. Obviously, this is just the tip of the iceberg as far as characterization in Bleach is concerned, but these are certainly important examples of the great writing Kubo is capable of. The next topic that needs to be discussed is the power system. Kubo has managed to create one of the most interesting power systems that I've read in manga to date. The idea of a sword having a life of its own, and thus being able to work in tandem with its wielder, is not wholly unique. However, the way that Bleach specifically does this is unique in that it is the soul of the wielder that becomes the sword. In this way, we get to learn something else about all the characters simply by knowing what their abilities are. A great example of this is Yumichika Ayasagawa, as his Zanpakuto, or true nature, is a power that has the ability to use magic, to drain others of their life force. This shows us that Yumichika is a strategic and manipulative person, but because he doesn't want to be this way and would prefer to fight in more of a straightforward way, he actively restricts himself from using his power. On the flip side, Mayuri Kuretsuchi is only built up by that same strategic use of his abilities, and we see the scientific side of this character in conjunction with his Zanpakuto power. All this considered, I believe that the sword abilities presented in Bleach are extremely unique, and this not only goes for Zanpakuto, but also for Fullbringers and Quincy, as both of these two power systems are similarly unique, but with different emphases. To have all of these different power systems come together in one manga makes Kubo a great writer to be able to harmonize them all together. The only negative comment that I have about Bleach is not even relevant until most of the way through the manga, but at some point, it seems as if backgrounds became superfluous for Kubo. Characters always looked fantastic, and the fights were consistently easy to follow. However, it seemed as if the backgrounds simply did not exist or were minimalist. Even this is not really a complaint. If anything, it's simply something that might have made the visual appearance of Bleach a little better. All that being said, I'd like to get into what is the biggest complaint that people have against this manga, and that is the plot. Most people here on YouTube say that the Soul Society arc was a great arc, but after that it goes downhill. I thoroughly disagree with this point. The Soul Society arc is a fantastic arc that is only built upon in the next arc. In my opinion, the Espada serve as greater villains than the captains ever did. Most of the major revelations happen in the fake Karakura arc, at least as regards Aizen, which most people praise. Even going beyond that, the Fullbringer arc, where most people left this series, is still very good. The Fullbringer arc brings to the table a new concept, new abilities, and interesting character dilemmas that we have to solve. The Quincy arc, which comes after this, is amazing and answers many of the withstanding questions that most of us had concerning the characters that we already knew. I actually like the Quincy arc so much that the Quincy became my favorite species within this universe. All of that said, the plot of this manga is very good and does not deserve all the hate that it has acquired here on YouTube. All this being said, Bleach is a very good manga and deserves to be praised for that. It deserves its reputation as being part of the big three in Shonen Jump and definitely deserves your attention if you've never read it. So, at the end of the day, my final score for Bleach is an even 8. I think that justifies how much I like this manga and kind of where it stands for me. If you have anything to say, I'd love to hear it down in the comment section below. Leave me a comment. I'd love to talk about Bleach with you. If you liked anything I had to say, please like this video and subscribe to my channel. I bring you manga-related content every single week, a special delivery of some kind on Tuesday, and my weekly rankings that I put out every Thursday. So definitely subscribe to my channel. I'd love to have you as my subscribers. But for now, that's all I have for you. So this is Shonen Express, signing off.